Let's get started. I'm very excited to invite our panelists for the day because we have panelists from different backgrounds and who will be sharing different experiences with you. We have the panel session for the day is titled Our Career Transition into Cross-Functional Leadership Roles, and you will be gaining insights on cross-functional leadership. Inviting the moderator for the day, Mr. Shreyas Vagmare. Mr. Shreyas, we are delighted to have you here. Thank you so much for being a part of this panel today. Mr. Shreyas Vagmare is currently a product management specialist at NICE CX1, which is a call center software company. He has previously worked with companies like Mindbody and Calsoft and has over 19 years of experience. Mr. Vagmare has a keen eye for detail and is adept in developing product roadmaps, conducting market research, and analyzing data. His expertise is also in identifying revenue maximizing opportunities. With exceptional market penetration and product launch skills, his outstanding expertise in assembling requirements, defining scope, and establishing communities brings him to this panel to share his insights with you. A very warm welcome, Mr. Shreyas. Let's go ahead and introduce you to our next panel member. We have Ms. Priyadarshini Sundaraj. Ms. Priyadarshini Sundaraj is a seasoned product manager with overall 14 years of techno-function expertise with end-to-end product management experience in talent acquisition and hiring suites, CPQ, renewals, enterprise, SaaS cloud storage, disaster recovery systems, content management, documentation, and banking domains. She's a multi-talented cross-functional leader in product and currently working with iCIMS. She has previous experience in companies like PayPal, VMware, Dell, and GlobalLogic. A very warm welcome to Ms. Priyadarshini, and we are looking forward to your insights for the day. Our last but not the least panelist for the day, Mr. Krishna V. Mr. Krishna here is a senior product manager in Informatica, and he has about 13 years of experience in companies like Capgemini and Brilio. He's an exceptional, experienced data and analytic professional with expertise in data engineering, modeling, cloud, data, creating valued insights, data from, he's very passionate as well about product management and builds products in retail analytics. Thank you so much, Mr. Krishna, for joining us for this session. And overall, I would be handing over the session to our moderator for the day, Mr. Shreyas, and I'm really looking forward to this panel. Mr. Shreyas, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Kashish. Thanks a lot for that wonderful introduction. First of all, a warm welcome to all of you on a weekend. Thanks a lot for joining us on a weekend. The session that we have today is on a cross-functional leadership roles, and we'll be discussing the importance of collaboration, teamwork across the departments to basically achieve that end goal that we want to achieve in our roles that we're playing at different organizations. So being an expert in a field nowadays is not that enough for us to succeed in the business, but the business or the companies are looking for the leaders who will work across the functions, which is pretty essential nowadays because of the complexity in the way the businesses are running today. So yeah, I think without wasting time, I think before we begin, Kashish, will it be possible to run a small survey to understand the audience present here so that we can tweak our discussion accordingly for them?
Yes, Mr. Shreyas, we'll be launching a poll. Please, audience, we request you to kindly take the poll so that the panelists here will be able to design the session based on that, and we will be able to have a more customized approach. So we'll be launching the poll right now. I think you'll be able to see it on your screens. We'll give you a couple of seconds to take the poll.
It seems like we have some quite senior people around with us. So yeah, definitely really nice to have them.
Thank you so much, folks, for answering the poll. We have a good mix here. We have about 9 people with less than 5 years of experience, new to the industry. We have about 6 people between 5 to 9 years. We have 9 people between 10 to 15 years, 7 people with about 16 to 20 years of experience, and over 3 people who have been in the industry far too long to remember how many years it's been. Thank you so much for answering. Over to you, Mr. Shreyas. You can continue.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So yeah, I think definitely it's a mix of audience in terms of the experience in the industry. So we try to keep it as generic as possible, which will add a value to every group. Feel free to ask your questions as mentioned in the chat, or if you want to ask it in personal, and you can request Kashish and then we can interrupt. So again, today we have Priya and Krishna along with us, who are doing a cross-functional roles in their own organizations and doing it for quite some time, and have expertise in handling different cross-functional challenges, or even bringing the success into the business. So without wasting time, I would love to start with Krishna, that if you would like to talk a little bit about your career transition journey, to help audience know that how did you transition into your career into the role that is allowing you to work in a cross-functional departments today.
Thanks, Shreyas. Yeah, good morning to all. Happy to see you on a weekend. Right. Yeah. So I basically started my career as a developer and more of an engineer, and then started looking towards building my career in the engineering side. So I've been trying to do both engineering as well as project management in my course. I did some architectural role where I played a solutions architect for a cloud migration platform for migrating the on-premise workloads to the cloud, and this all happened in the data analytics space. So while I was moving, I was interested to move in the engineering side. The product management was something that I caught upon in doing this, and it was totally unexpected turn in the career that I had to. I moved on to product management thanks to EMBA, which I was able to enroll in at that point of time and then move on. So this role, the product management role, is a role where you have to work with a lot of cross-functional teams, multiple stakeholders, both within the organization or outside the organization, right? The way I see it, from a non-product manager role to transition to a product manager role, I see there is a lot of difference in how do you perceive it and how do you think outside your engineering domain or your specific domain, wherever you are doing it, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like when I come from the engineering background, and then a lot of time it is a bias that engineer will have, that give me the work, I'll get that done. Don't tell me other things. That is the general approach that engineering people will have. But however, when you're transitioning into the roles, which is more of a people-oriented role, where understanding that holistic view is critical, is for successing in that role. What do you, Priya? Would you like to explain your career transition to the audience today?
Yeah, definitely. I would be happy to do that. So I have around 14 years of experience, and just like both of you, even I started my career as a software engineer, and then I have extensively worked on both backend and front-end applications, including developing Android applications. Early on in my career, I even worked with a startup wherein there was no role differentiations, where you were supposed to do only one kind of task, because in startup environment, that from configuration until talking to the customer, you would be like approached in one or the other, and then you will be filling the shoes of somebody else in the phase of any crisis. And yeah, I have worked in different domains, which also made me collaborate with different verticals, and then different group of people with different disciplines and then skill sets and talents, where their priorities are different. And if you are working towards building a single product in a certain dedicated direction, then aligning their thought process and viewpoints so that they understand why we are building what we are building and the impact that we are making in a right way, so that they understand it, so that we have less friction, and that we are working in an environment of constraints related to time, resources, and also the scope. So how do we cope up with that is another challenge. And during this journey, being an engineer and then working day in and day out, especially fixing those bugs on a Friday evening when I'd already booked a ticket for a movie, and then I couldn't just like make it to the movie. That's when I thought, as in like, oh my God, if this is the thing that I have to do, then I definitely have to understand other aspects of the career transitions and other aspects. Then I had an opportunity to work with product managers across India as well as in the US for almost like 3.5, 4 years in EMC, which was later Dell. And I understood what are the key roles and then how product managers work. And that actually caught my attention. And I actually enrolled to a 1-year executive certification program somewhere else and understood the generics of it, but it didn't give me the major aspects that I want to know to build a product so that I can manage a product. But later on, I was introduced to IPL, and then I took up IPL's EMBA so that I understand on hands how do I actually understand the products and then the user perspective, their customer journey, and then how do I get it to market and how do I actually get revenues out of it or even users use it. So to get all these aspects, I did not have hands-on experience at all, apart from me being an audience and the viewers of the team that I was working with. So slowly I thought getting into an MBA can actually enlarge my horizon, and I got to work with all the like 40 cohorts. Like Shreyas was my college mate as well, and we really had experiential learning, solving use cases, and then collaborating with the best faculty in the industry, and also applying it on the job, which was like really important because we always learn and then we forget. And then out of 100% that we learn, 20% is something which we assimilate, 5% is what we will actually apply it. And that's why I felt that this actually gave me a career turn, I can say, and opened up my mindset about how a product should be treated. And I transitioned to a product manager. I have also worked as a technical product manager, bridging the gap between technology and also users and the product, aligning with the vision of the company. So yeah, here I am, and I am right now with an organization called ISEMS. It has leading workforce and talent acquisition platform, and Workday is our a major competitor. And happy to be here. Thank you for hosting me.
Thanks, Priya. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I think I could remember the similar exposure even I had. I remember I was in HP, and then as a developer, I felt that there is some additional library which is required in a product. I built it quickly within a couple of weeks, and then told my manager that this is what we need. Let's take it out. And then manager said that I will talk to product manager, and then we'll see we'll need it or not. And then it was declined, obviously, because we had some alternative ways to do the same thing. And that's where I got introduced to this role of a product manager. And then I said, hey, who is this guy who is approving and disapproving all the requirements that we have? So let's explore that. I came to know about, I was in Bangalore, I think, and I explored instead of product leadership. I felt as a person, I feel that, if I want to learn something, probably I would like to go into as much detail as possible, spend more time so that I can learn it in a better way. And that's how I landed into IPL, doing the executive MBA along with the Priya and we are 40 other people. We enjoyed a lot. Great. So moving on, since we're talking about product management, and I feel that prioritization is one of the critical aspect for any product manager. And we have seen that even the cross-functional leaders navigate the competing priorities and the perspectives across different teams and departments. So being a product manager who want to prioritize, and then again, prioritization is not just within your business, but it is also across the businesses. You will have lots of dependencies to deal with. You will have lots of people to deal with. So how you navigate through these priorities in terms of while working in your cross-functional roles? Maybe Krishna, if you can help us know.
Yeah, Shreyas, the prioritization is a bread and butter of a product manager, right? I mean, if he doesn't get, if he gets it wrong, it's basically he makes the whole product vision go into very haywire, right? So it's always essential to consider all your stakeholders when you do a prioritization. Typically, you meet all the stakeholders from sales, from your sales team, your own senior management, your own support ecosystem, your partner ecosystem, and of course, you're the customers who are looking for you. Now, when you speak to all of this, essentially, one thing that is always as a product manager, you have to keep in mind is that the capacity what you have with your engineering is not infinite, right? It has some capacity to it, right? And you have to be very meticulous in planning. What is that I can take up? How much of a trade-off I can do in terms of the features which is coming in going? What's my priority in terms of, should I cater to the market? Should I be more agile towards bringing in the features which is on par with my competitor, or am I in a space where the competitor is not my question, but it's the user adoption which is more in a question, right? There are a lot of things which goes in planning session, in planning all of these things. So there's no fixed model, I would say. At least I've not seen that you have to do this fixed model, right? Of course, we have been learning like Kano model, rice model, value effort, prioritization techniques, all of this, right? So not everything is applicable to a specific release. It's essentially, as a product manager, you should be aware of what's the environment you are in, what kind of release you would want to do. What is the maturity of your product? That plays a very important role in how do you prioritization, because at the initial level of your product launch, perhaps you would want to capture market, which means that you would want to bring the features at a very faster pace, even if it's not complete, or even if it's trying to trying to catch up with small things in background. Perhaps you can give a back burner to your customer problems to few things. But as you mature your product, you have to listen to your customers and your other ecosystem partners if you're working with, right? And that's where the product manager's maturity comes in, to identify what stage the product is, use the product prioritization which is appropriate at that point of time, and then bring the products and features which are more favorable to the consumers or to the users, right? And again, on a B2B space, in B2B space, it's usually more there is a more lag towards the achievement, or the way you achieve it, the feature. B2C, it's very distinctive, right? You can build it tomorrow, you can release it to the customer tomorrow, day after tomorrow. But in B2B, you have to be very meticulous in considering what your other competitors are doing, what your partners are doing, what your own support system talks about, because at the end of the day, you also have to think, as I said in earlier, that engineering capacity is not infinite. It has its own value, and you have to plan according to that. And that's where some of the best the prioritization which I've used is the value and effort, and the Kano model, right? And the Moscow model, right? Must have, could have, should have, would have. It's the best thing to define, right? And it's better to leave the engineering part not here, where the engineers say and then say, oh, I can do this in 3 days, or I can do it in this 5 days. We try, at least I did try to go in that direction when I started, but I felt that's that's not required, because that also goes in a way of conflict between your engineering capability and your product management capability. You have to be very distinctive in these areas.
Absolutely agree, because yeah, you talked about B2B, it's a different beast altogether. And what I observed is, talking with the product people, customers, this is one part of it. The second part is getting alignment within your organization, and
that's true. Yeah,
part where yeah, as you said, right? If you keep that roles distinct, we don't jump into each other's role. It becomes easy to align with that. I personally feel that again, impact versus effort is something which is my favorite in prioritization. However, one thing I try to do always before sending out any wider communication out on an email or anywhere, right? What's in it for this audience? Like, why would they listen to us? If we can get that piece sorted, I think it is very easy to align with the people. Of course, it's not always true, because sometimes you have some things where you have 30 odd stakeholders and you don't have time to go to each and everyone and get alignment. So correct. You have to do the broadcast communication, but then how can we make sure that they understand the impact? If they understand the impact of not doing that particular thing, then probably they will help you in much better way. So yeah, that's really, I could relate to what you're saying. So Priya, what do you, what is your experience?
Yeah, just in the interest of time, I would not want to repeat any of the models that Krishna rightly mentioned. On top of it, I would say building that, what do you say, the strength of the team is important because not all of us have similar set of skill sets. So when you call cross-functional, it's multidisciplinary. So we have certain strengths and then we have certain weaknesses. So build upon your gaps between the teams. So if I have a team with 4 people, I would definitely like to have complementing skill sets in it so that we as a team grow together because it's the collaboration of the team that gets any cart running and that actually will become your strength to either do the right I mean like take right decisions during your brainstorming sessions or even understand what should be delegated and what should be done and like what is the order of your work that you have to take up. I mean, like if you look at the vision and strategy of the product, that is like little long term, and then how are you actually have building your roadmap so that you are aligning to the vision so that it be it increasing the revenue, the user adoption, or even having the technical debts done because we are dealing with a lot of legacy applications in enterprise software industry. So how are we at the sprint backlog level having our features prioritized and then do we have the essential resources, time, and also the design capability so that the product can be built in a certain way, which can go in the efficient feedback loops so that that can be a value addition to all the users and also like having that common value circulated across all the verticals which is getting involved in building a product. For example, in the product, I have to deal with researchers, designers, engineering teams, be it front end, back end, and then the quality engineers, and release management, marketing management, and also the technical writers to get the right messaging outside. So when we have, and also the customer success teams, and then the implementation engineers who would want to make sure that even after your product is delivered, you are understanding how you're performing, what are the measuring key metrics that actually defines for you to do it better in the next iteration. So I, as an individual, would want to make it in iterations. Yeah, we speak a lot about agile, but to what extent agile works in your environment should be another thing. That's another way of looking at prioritizing in different dependent teams. So another important aspect is how can you drill down the large features or the large product enhancement into a smaller chunk which can be executed independently. So if you can do that and separate those tasks and then identify which team can do what work efficiently and then are we in alignment with the timelines of them, then I think it will be a really huge success. And it's very hard to get it, but if you can work towards it and then there is a slight adjustment and the common ground, then definitely your prioritization will also be in line with the company's prioritization.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree to that point. I think a couple of points that you mentioned are really, which are important in terms of, first thing you mentioned, circulating value across the group, which is very critical because if all the people, the stakeholder understand the value that we are achieving by doing this work, then I think alignment becomes very easy. And then second part, breaking down the things is very crucial because if you're breaking it right, so that, we don't have a lot of dependencies across and then multiple people, multiple teams can work together at the same time, then that is really important. So that's really amazing. Like, these are probably the few skill sets that we can look at from the cross-functional aspect. One thing I personally feel is like, if we are working in a cross-functional role, as I said before also, that understanding that, the people who are working with you, what's in it for them when they're working with you. And if you can handle that piece, then probably it helps. Also, building a rapport is also very crucial. As we say, right, networking is important. Every product manager or the aspiring product managers agree with that. But the networking not just outside the organization, but within crucial because there are times when, though you have all the plans set in place, you have everything right, but something will come from somewhere and then you have to get that done immediately. someone sitting on your head telling that, okay, I want to get, and then you're dependent on someone. So in that case, if you have a good influence on your colleagues or the people who you are working with, it becomes easy to navigate through these obstacles and then getting through the final success that we look for. So Krishna, I would love to understand that what you feel are the skill sets that probably are required for becoming a cross-functional leader, a crucial skill sets, probably 3 or 4 that you would like to highlight
Yeah.
that people should possess to get into that role.
One thing which I remember or recall during my MBA days is Pinkesh used to always to say influence without authority, right? That's very important for in a cross-functional domain or wherever you're working, because you don't have an authority over there or the multiple team, but yet you have to get the work done, and it's always challenge because as I have a priority for myself, the different teams might have their own priorities and charter, right? Bringing, stitching in all these things into a value add which can be shown to each group or each set of customers when we talk about is very important. And at least what I've learned from my experience is that it's always good to network with them of the work, build relationships across all the boards, right? And then you don't know when this can be helpful, when you have to turn the favors on. And it's and again something that which I always believe in. It's a always give and take policy. You have to bow down for some time, so that others can give you others can give their priority to you at certain point of time. Otherwise, and it's always the other way also, right? You will have to give that priority to someone else and deprioritize something on your plate so that it works. And and typically I come from a product where we have a lot of dependency on the platform. All right, it's a big product which is a product which is a platform dependent. Platform has its own a roadmap. Platform is its own customer. Platform has its own PMs, right? Then I have to talk to all of those things, or they will have to consider our request when they prioritize their things. So it's always I would say a constant juggle to work, collaborate with all these multiple functional teams, and yet you don't have any authority on them. It's the networking skills, it's your communication skill that through which you should be perhaps get your things done.
Yeah, and then as you mentioned that do you feel that IPL course did help you? I think you talked about the influence without authority. That is something which was emphasized throughout the course.
Yes, it did. And I as I said, the way in which I engage with the stakeholders has changed a lot from what I used to be in previous to this moving this role, and that has a lot come from the experiences what I've built on my career, plus the learning what I had in the IPL in engaging, because IPL also gave opportunity to work with a lot of external startup leaders, founders, and then internally we had a lot of cohorts who were coming from various backgrounds, right? And working with them was truly in engaging experience. Was in my group. There were few guys who were totally not from the IT background itself. Well, we built or try to build a product which is more software centric, and right. So it's always a challenge, but the relationships what you build will help you in a longer period of time.
Yeah, definitely agree to that. Yeah, from me also, like, if you talk in terms of networking, I think I still remember I attended first meetup before even joining the course in Hinjawadi in Pune, and I met a person and then the same person actually helped me get the job. He was an MD of the company which I joined after my course. So it helps in multiple ways. You may not know at that particular time that what, but it's always good to connect. Of course, it is also important to nurture these connections, because if you lose that connection once meet and then you leave it, then it doesn't work. It doesn't help anyone. So keeping in touch, talking with the people, and getting that thing. So for me, I think product life is something which I would love to highlight, that that helped me understand. It opened up my personal, because I was still kind of a shy guy, will not talk much. But then this product lab events, or the different projects that we did really helped me in terms of talking to different people, and then and the teams will be changing. So you'll be always interacting with, working with the different people with the different mindset from different industry, even from the different cities altogether. So that has been helping me for sure. So Priya, what was that for you from IPL Course?
Yeah, just to have the continuation in thought process. Now look at you, you're making people talk like you being someone who was hesitant to talk.
Yeah.
You're making us talk. So that's another aspect that we are looking at. Uh, yeah. So definitely I want to add what Krishna was just mentioning a few minutes back. Understand what every person is like having a thought process of, like, if I am doing something, there's a rationale behind it. If a designer is doing something, then there's a rationale behind it. Yes, we do have our deadlines, but if we are at a task or if we're trying to solve something, what is it that we're trying to achieve? And then what are the facts and figures or the research items that we have which is supporting it, so that we are going towards it. Yes, we are building a product from a lot of uncertainties to getting it into a better shape in different iterations so that it can be consumable, and we are trying to solve a problem in one in like steps basis, wherein we are solving a larger cause, and then we are maybe having a good to have features on top of it. So I would say understanding what is the rationale behind every department would actually help us build that relationship. Also, just I was in the beginning thinking that being aggressive is the only thing and escalating is the only thing. Or if somebody is not doing, nudge them 2 times. If they're not doing, okay, I'll like escalate it to your manager. Okay, I'll build in pressure. That can be done. I'm not saying that shouldn't be done. And few of the organizations I worked with, trust me, encourages you to do that. But that is not what aligns with my personality traits. So individual, despite what we read, study, and understand, I also feel that there are certain personality traits which is married to your thought process and also the ever-changing technology world that we are in and the product that you are building in. So understanding this will only happen if you have that networking and relationship with that person, and you also know what are your weaknesses so that somebody's strength can be complementing, and then together you can build a great product. So I, as an individual, also, like, at any point of time, I would have like 3 teams working, like a team of like 5. So that's why I was always talking about breaking the things down and then making sure that their alignment is there. And then at a higher level, what are the dependent teams that we are working with? And then even there, the relationship building, like influencing without authority. Sometimes you have to be a servant leader so that you have to respect individuals' thought process, because when you hurt their feelings, it's always humans, and then they want control, and they also should not be proven wrong, and also they want to be respected for throwing up their ideas. So how do you manage all these things so that you can take them along with you in the team? Actually is a process wherein in remote working environment it takes longer time. In person you can even go to a chai or a sutta break and then sort it out. But in remote working environment, this is one of the challenges that I faced, and then had to get into too many calls just to make sure that our alignment is right. So I would say, yeah, networking and understanding the person, and then their value system and the goal towards the strategy that we have and the vision, that would be the key.
I agree. I think remote was our biggest challenge, especially when we want to collaborate and get the things done. So that is really. So let's talk about the challenges that a cross-functional leaders face in general or in a day-to-day life. If you ask me, like, first thing that I felt was it's I frankly could not find any process or robust process in any organization which can help you get that done. So that is something I feel that, I always keep feeling that, there should be some process to it. Okay, do this way, if not this, then it should be light down. But then ultimately I observed is whatever you do, it may or may not work in that way. So you will have to find some other ways out of the process to get the things done. So that is something which I have observed, or a challenge that I have seen in my work experience. Krishna, what do you think? What challenges you have seen as a cross-functional leader?
Well, Mike, cross-functional experience has been very varied, right? So I usually work with all of with all the segments of the stakeholders, right? Right from customers, it could be the support ecosystem, the partner ecosystem, our own internal stakeholders. Then again, as I said, we also have something called as a platform PMs or platform where it's very difficult for us, or I wouldn't say difficult, but they have their own charter. And if you want to put your charter in between in their charter, it's always you have to be very meticulous in what you want to add in that. You have to think about your current competitors and how do you convince your stakeholders to bring in that kind of an additional thing. So in my experience, being a product manager, something that I have I really enjoyed is working with a lot of additional or this cross-functional stakeholders where you have to convince them on the kind of value what that particular feature or that particular work what you are being collaborated is building. It could be a small thing, but it could mean a lot to the ecosystem, right? And again, one thing which I usually go with is the North Star kind of an approach, where as a collaborative team we have one a goal to achieve, and we all bring in our own capability, our own thought process, our own way of doing things. Someone could be very fast paced, someone could be slow paced, the way they think, but ultimately it's one goal which we want to achieve. It could be a numeric, it could be a quantifiable, that what we usually do, right? Drive certain part of the feature list, or make sure certain customers are reached out to for collaboration, or some metrics we define with metrics, and then we go with that metrics. That typically works for something that you would want to, that what's your what kind of a problem you have, and you're trying to build a solution. But that doesn't really work if you want to build, or if you're trying to understand a problem at core, where there are different set of skill sets or different level of understanding that you have to bring in, and also the understanding that you have to build with your other team is important, right? For example, when we speak to customers, we also do customer interviews, research. The way the customer research team would engage is different from what I would try to engage. There could be conflicts between these, so it's always better to see what boundaries you are in, and then honor that boundary in stakeholder management. And then also, of course, there are cases where we bypass or they bypass. It's better to put that upfront and keep the ego aside and look for the overall the goal what you would want to achieve from that engagement.
Amazing. Priya, you want to highlight any one challenge that you feel in your current role is like one of the biggest challenge in terms of cross-functional?
Yeah, definitely. One of them would be like having that commonality between the time, resources, and then the scope of the product that you are building. And that actually varies between the different teams that we are working in. And to add to that, we do not know the capabilities of each team, and also how we can align to make sure that our product is in the best hands, or we are meeting the expectations that we have set. So as a whole, I would still say the challenge would be like over and above the product, it's dealing with people. You can always shrug it off as in, yeah, like people management is easy, but definitely it's not. Every individual is different. You cannot have patterns, you cannot have scenarios, and then the same person behaves differently in different situations with different people under different challenging circumstances. So that's why it's a combination of both the understanding of the people and then their mindset, and along with like tied with the product deliverable that we have. So the constant challenge would be like us. And also
always grinding between the wheels.
I when I just started, I chose some product manager. I said, okay, I don't want to get into people management. I don't want to get into that. And then when I landed, I said, you cannot.
You can't go away with it. Yeah,
that is the part and parcel.
You can't do away with it.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, amazing. One quick rapid fire question. Okay. Out of the courses that you did, what is that one thing that 1 month or one course or one teacher that you felt was, amazing and that remained in your back of the mind all of the time? Maybe start with Krishna. What is that one thing that like probably?
So for me, it was the strategy session, and which was conducted by Dr. Pawan Soni. That was out of the mind, because the way the way the I think we had only one, maybe 4 or 5 hour session or all of our that particular course, but that 5 hour session was a learning that I'm still carrying forward, right? So that's something that I really look forward whenever there's a chance to hear to him. I do. But that's the strategy, and how do you plan to build it is actually very critical as being a product manager, because you want to grow in your space, and then also you would like to bring in the capabilities that make you grow, and also grow the team along with you as you go.
Absolutely. And I still remember one thing I learned. He always used to tell that, don't let someone, hire your session. If you're talking, make sure that you are talking.
Yes.
Amazing. Priya, what was it for you?
Yeah, like the personal favorite was Pawan Soni, but just to add another personal favorite of mine, it was Karthi. So she was like amazing in the way that she was putting forth her thought process. And then the way we learned, we always feel learning is via books, but that was like learning via the lecturer or the professor. I mean, understanding like each and every participant in the college were involved. And we were into like groups, coming up with different ideas, presenting it to the team, giving an opportunity for everyone to work together and also come to the stage and then present your idea. And if there are like questions on top of it, you can actually ask them. So that was like a class wherein everybody is talking to each other, running around and making sure that we are putting forth our ideas. Like we were fighting as well, because like we were people from a different perspective, and then we were not aligning with our thought process. But like under the value proposition classes, I think Shreyas, if you remember, we were having post-its in the class, sticking to the wall and making sure that all of you come up with an idea and then give us that 5-step process of how do you audit the existing system, how do you come up with a new one. And actually, if you're coming up with starting from the beginning, what are the aspects and the BMC model, or like for every, take up an example, see how do you wade through all the steps of understanding the value proposition or building that revenue channel in the business model. So that was like really good. And then me being an artist, I always loved the design sessions that she ran along with the value proposition classes. I mean, giving importance to customer research and also the usability of a product, wherein it's not something always which looks good is the good part. It is also to do with that subtle elegance and then the ease of doing, how human brain interacts with the components. So these were like really mind blowing. I mean, I always thought fancier, jazzier things will be like eye catchy. That's for marketing and branding. But for the product to be used, it should be efficient, simple to use, and then it should work according to how our ingrained brain works. So these were like really good. I even have the notes of it, and then I sometimes refer to it. So I'm like, I was mind blown. I was like, those classes, I really loved it personally.
I do agree with that. Yeah, I mean, the design sessions were really good in terms of understanding, and especially coming from an engineering background, where we always think of either 0 or 1.
Yes.
The 0.5 or 0.75 is a very significant in certain ways, and always had that gray tone. Understanding that gray part is always very fascinating. I do agree with you, Priya.
Yeah.
All of us do have the notes still preserved. And that's true. For me, my personal favorite was product labs. Obviously, a lot of things I learned. I still remember I wanted to make a mobile fly on a drone, and I went to the people in the mall for a user interview, talked with them. Okay, the selfies are not good, and then you want to make sure that everyone is looking equally better in the photos and all. And then people said, no, selfies are like that only. Why do you want to change that? And then that gave me a big shock. Like, sometimes you feel that something is a problem, but that's truly not a problem for the segment that you're working on.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was a problem for the other segment, but not the segment that we initially identified. So that was really a eye-opener for us that, don't assume that this is a problem. Make sure you validate it well. I think before we wrap up and open up for the Q&A, one last thing that I would like to understand from you is about the conflict management. I think that is one of the key aspects of a cross-functional work. How do you manage the conflict in your day-to-day work? Uh, Priya, we can start with you this time.
So it's an extension of collaboration. So
Absolutely.
when we say a conflict, it's just that we have different opinions and the decisions have to be made based on the opinions that we have. And probably something makes sense to a few and then something it doesn't make sense. So the negotiation aspect also kicks into it. So in case of conflict management, I would say that negotiating with the best bet and also to having your plan B gives you a better understanding. Like I know that during conflict management you need to understand where exactly is the problem, how do you tackle it, and then how do you get into the a common ground of compromising, wherein you take a step back and then you allow them to come a step forward so that you are understanding certain aspects. While doing that, just see that you are not compromising on the entire vision. At least if you have not met that 100%, are you solving the main problem of providing a solution to the product, wherein at least the minimum viable product is built with the conflicts that you have and with the limited resources that you have? So that, see, conflict you cannot eliminate, that's another thing. But to what extent you can push it in an amicable manner so that all of us are like ingrainedly thinking that yes, we are reaching a goal together. Yeah, I'm compromising on this, but at the end of the day, my major goal is this: not to win over someone or not to get a feeling that yes, I am the boss and I'm controlling about it, and then this is happening only because of me. So the moment you get that thought in you, as in I have to run this, I should be the center of attraction to get this done, and then so if you get your product, you will definitely be the center of the attraction. So you don't even have to like bombard it and then broadcast it or make sure that you are aggressive all around. I personally feel that you can be aggressive in your own way and to get things done. But the moment you get around that aspect of controlling and then making sure that it is only you who is running the show, it will never be it. You might win once, twice, but it is not sustainable. So I would say making sure that everybody wins along with you will reduce the conflict. And there might be definitely diverse opinion where your thought process is not crossing each other's line at all. So then you would have to think about the alternatives. So do you have that plan B? Are you thinking about the alternatives? And then fail fast. If you think that yes, your alignment is completely different from the other person, you come up with your prototype, let them come up with your prototype, validate it, and then involve all the stakeholders, then see what best can work. Then if your idea is like deprioritize and it doesn't work, it's okay, you have tried. And then it's always okay to think from the other's perspective. Otherwise you will always think you are right and it might not fly well with the users. So I would say like sometimes managing aspects based on the situation dynamically would give you an high in like managing the conflict.
Amazing. Krishna, what is your secret to handling the conflict?
Well, I feel that conflict sometimes is good to happen because it always brings certain things in good, right? It could be a better relationship what you're trying to build with the other party. And as Priya said, going within always an options of what I can do in case and preparing for the worst or the next best what I can offer and what I can take. Trade-off is always, as I said, trade-off prioritization is always a part and parcel of a product manager. So he has to keep his options ready where I can maybe perhaps I can lose one thing and perhaps gain in some other area where it's okay. I can live with it for the current moment of time. And again, aligning the people, it's always going to be a challenge. There will be outliers in the group or in the conversation what you're having where they have a different thought. Always, it's better to agree to at least be in that frame where we agree for disagreement and don't take it very personally or on ego. Whatever we fight in, we have. I still have that fights with the other colleagues but it's more contextualized to the meeting room or to the particular conversation what we are having. But outside that, we are still our own best friends, mentors, colleagues. It's okay. We will have our own words to put it or thoughts of putting it, but that shouldn't really cross the way we work or the way we think or way we operate in office or in your product, wherever you operate. Second thing which I've noticed is that taking the opportunity in the conflict to run it, right? For example, if there are groups and there are members in the groups who are who do not budge or who are reluctant to take step backward, let that fail, because that will eventually make things better for the next run, and we will learn from the failure of the first step, that the next step becomes better. Sometimes it's okay to fail. I think that's something that we have to think or build in ourselves, because we always think that, I have to succeed in every first attempt. Perhaps not. We may not be, or we couldn't be, but it's always better to take that learning from the first and then improve or build better from the stages on. I'm pretty sure you guys would have had better experience in conflict management, right?
Yeah, absolutely. When you were saying about agree, disagree, right? I remember one thing that I heard about. I don't know how true that is, but it was told that, in Amazon, they have this concept that, I disagree, but I commit to it. Having said that, probably I don't agree with what is happening, but for the larger goal of the company or the thing, I commit to do that. So this type of things actually help in a way that, the larger goal is achieved, irrespective of the smaller conflicts that we might have, and we might have to live with them. It also brings that perspective that, we have to live with the conflicts. We cannot get away from that. One thing I also like to highlight probably is handling conflict with different people. There are different ways to do that. And that always depends upon the person with you are dealing with. If you are dealing with an aggressive person, you might end up compromising a lot on your side compared to them, which is fine. But at the same time, if you are working with someone introvert, not talking much, you'll have to make sure that, they talk, they explain because they might have something which is really important for an organization perspective, and they are not able to explain that. So getting that understanding, the person whom we are talking with, what is the personality, and then talking or resolving that conflicts actually helps a lot. So that's my perspective. I think we've covered significant amount of time discussion. I think we can, being a product managers, we can keep talking for any amount of time. But I would like, Kashish, I would like to open up for the questions now. If people or audience have any questions, let's start taking that, and then we can move forward.
Definitely, Mr. Shreyas. We have quite a couple of questions. Audience, we request you to please raise your hand. I will unmute you and you can proceed to ask your question. Yes, Mr. Kranti.
Hi, so it's nice meeting a few product managers here. So I'm working as a product manager, as a senior product manager, and I take care of strategy related to 5G and all this stuff. So first thing is I just want to develop my network. So that is one major area of joining into this particular session. I just want to know, because I have never met product managers from cross platform or cross domain or something like that. So to add on, I have a few patents on 5G and cloud related areas. So I've done a lot of certifications from Intel, from AWS, from Kubernetes, and all this stuff. Means like not in a preliminary level, but in a professional level. So as a practice, as a passion, I do all these things just to learn or to upgrade myself. So nowadays I'm seeing certain things like TOGAF and architectural review board. So most of my part is like I take care of product management and about architectural review board also. So these two things I take up. So how about TOGAF and all these certifications? Just want to know a few points on that. So this is my question here. I just gave my brief introduction, and the last one is my question.
Sorry, Kathy, I'm not aware of the certification that you're talking. Krishna, do you know?
Yeah, I feel the product manager's role is always to keep learning, right? Whether it could be technology, whether it could be the strategy, or it could be anything. And doing certification, if your product is aligned towards the technical product, and if you are doing certifications, it's better. It's good. I would say it's always good to add the certifications or understanding of it. But that also means that, are you looking really for a career in the product management, or more oriented towards the architecture?
I'm already a senior product manager working
Right.
for 6 years. So it's more of, as I said, like I'm looking for a network of product managers. So there, actually, my domain is into. Initially, I started as a developer for kernel development and to protocol development, and then to. So as I said, like how this program or certain things will help us in understanding. And TOGAF is one thing which particularly is provided by. It's like most of the architecture review board people for mostly for the solution architecting part.
Correct.
So as a process, like it's a so, and I felt like maybe I was going through few of these things. So models, particularly on the architectural review models. So I felt like it is a little bit meaningful in the product management process as well. So that's why I was asking, like, curious to know about this part. So yeah.
Yeah, I think if you talk about a networking, that you want to improve networking and want to get into, there are multiple ways. You have social channels which can help you. If you are talking about the technical aspect, even the technology that you belong to, there will be a lot of events which are happening across the cities, or even the virtual events for that matter. Try to participate in that. Like for personally, if I talk about my experience, I was in a storage domain. So we had the Storage Networking Industry Association, which will be conducting the events, which were more on a technology-oriented events. And we used to attend that, participate that, present in that, ask in your company that I want to present over there on a particular topic. You can take about the latest technology and all. So that actually helps you nurture your connection in a technology side. If you ask me about a product side, then I think IPL events is one thing. Then there are multiple groups even within different cities who are trying to bring all the product folks together, and then make sure that again they talk about different aspects of the product, and then you can meet different people. If you want to do about improve on the communication, there is a Toastmaster series which is happening across the cities, which can help you in terms of improving communication. There you will be given a random topic to talk on, and then you can improvise on communication, and then you will learn different aspects, and all these are related. Like even if you're in a technology forum, you still need to communicate your thoughts in a better way. So you need that skill along with that. If you want to give the larger impact to the people, then you need to understand how the products and the businesses run. So I think more and more participations is what a crucial thing. And then after you talk with, if you feel that someone is really I align a lot in terms of thought process, talk to them, meet in person, message them on LinkedIn or based on their convenience. Don't make sure that we don't irritate someone for networking purpose and we are not getting into their personal space. So if you can take care of that, I think these are probably a few ways I feel you can achieve the networking in multiple areas, but that's the way.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, maybe as I said, like specifically, like say if we have 5G with like say for example, if AWS or GCP, if they're working on specific 5G products, so do we get that channels opened?
Yeah, you do have a lot of events which AWS organize. AWS gives the training. Even though you might be knowing about it, you can just join the training. You can tell, you can help your cohorts there in that training, and then make sure that you are connected with that people. So yeah, every organization will have their own events which are there. Just keep looking for that, participate, and then you will be able to network there. Okay, I think I can see a couple.
Yeah, I can see a couple of more questions. Just a second, I'll spotlight you. Deepshika Basu. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, so hello and thank you for the very informative session today. So I will share a little bit on my background. So I do come from an engineering background in computer sciences, but then due to some career shifts, I moved into technical writing throughout my career. However, I have worked in networking, storage, telco, and cybersecurity domains. And because of my personal liking and inclination, I have been continuously grooming myself in the different technology areas. I have done certifications in cloud, and I have kept myself continuously hands-on the technical side. But my job role, that which is on the books, has always been on the technical writing area. I also did project management, and now I'm working as a senior manager, handling a content development team. So I'm actually very much desirous of moving into product roles. However, one of the inhibitions I've seen, at least in the Indian industry space, is that people are not very open to considering candidates with technical writing background, even though they may have all the other necessary skills that were being talked about in even today's session. Working with global teams, cross-functional teams, establishing that rapport, and then all that kind of leadership thing, we do it on a daily basis. But there is a lot of innovation, and I don't see people very open to considering candidates from my kind of background into this kind of crossovers into product roles.
Priya, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to take this. So I wanted to answer this for a simple reason that the same thing has happened with me as well, Deepshika. I was a hardcore developer, so they never wanted to let go of me because it's like you are losing a person who is working on it. So in the same organization, even if you express your interest in certain domain which is not of which is not their interest, will only give you certain demotivating results. So I would say keep your options open. If not in the current division, you can always reach out to the cross divisions as well, and also outside. So I would also say do your homework on building your portfolio and making sure that whenever there are use cases wherein if you are attending a product management interview and posed with a use case above and beyond your technical writing, they might have questions about in India or in any, even if I am recruiting someone, I want to have an hands-on person to be onboarded to my team, right? Because then the learning curve will be lesser, then the ramp-up period is more. Ramp-up period can be lessened as well. So that's why that there is one thing where we need to encourage other people as well to make sure that they're up to the mark, and then they are able to understand and then execute the role that they are into whenever they are coming into that new role. And you can make it possible internally by talking to your higher management and then taking up some 20% of extra work from product management, and then demonstrating it that yes, you did product management in so and so area, be it the freelancing thing or collaborate with other product managers and make sure that you are adding value into it and learning it, or also build your extensive portfolio as in these are the products that you worked on, did your analysis and came up with a models of how you actually brought it to market. Because I personally did that, even with the help of IPL, I transitioned my career 2-3 times, I can say, across domains, and it's not just in one domain and across technologies, and that was never a constraint. So I would say I was in your situation 6 years back, and then here I am doing the thing that I really wanted to do, and in the right company and with the right set of people. So it has taken it doesn't happen overnight, and don't get demotivated as well. It's okay to fail in even interviews. And sometimes I should not be saying it in the open forum, but I would still say you can always fake it until you make it. So make sure that certain aspects, if you know you can do it, explain that in the interview process that yes, I can do it. You give me this scenario, I will make sure that this can be done. Take home assignments from them, do that, and then present it to them. So this will be initial hiccup. You have to take that leap of faith and then prove yourself. but trust me, after that it will be really easier. That transition time is little tough, but once you wait through that, I'm sure once on the hands on the jobs, like you will definitely do really well. So like you can use these tips.
Yeah, just to add to what Priya said, right? Again, same thing. I think even I have went through the same thing. One thing that we should make sure that, even if you're doing some other work, like you mentioned, you're in a technical writing, but what aspect of product management that you're covering in a technical writing, and that should reflect clearly in your resume. Because if that is not reflecting, then people who are scrutinizing the resume will not understand your skills. So make sure that your resume is prepared according to a role of a product manager, and then you have that things highlighted, like you should have right numbers, you should talk about the business impacts and everything. There you talk a less about your technical writing skills, but talk more about the other aspects. If you do that, then the first step to get into the interview is important. I faced the same thing. 3 months took for me to even get into the first round of interview. But once you get the first opportunity, you can crack it straight away, because then it is all about the knowledge and the work and how you do. As Priya mentioned, you can do. Krishna, you want to add anything to it?
No, Shreyas, and I think you have summarized well. And I think one additional thing which I would add on top of it is that don't lose hope. You will definitely get transition to the role.
And as I said, right, networking is crucial. Networking will help you, because if you have a good network, then someone will give you an opportunity, trusting on you to make sure that you get that first breakthrough, and then from there onwards, it's up to you to get that skill through.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the nice tips.
Panel, we have one question on the chat box. If you just quickly address that.
Yeah, so I think it's asking about what challenges you face when breaking through into the product management. I think Priya also summarized some of that.
Yes, there is one more older question that I had received directly, but I think it's on the similar roles. The question was around being in a technical writer role and moving into leadership. I think that as well is addressed, managing team.
Yeah. Just one thing I probably would like to emphasize again in terms of people who want to break into the product management. I think networking helps a lot. My personal experience, as I mentioned, my first job I got through the referral. Second thing, recently in December, we had layoffs. My position got impacted. All the costs that I received in a 1 month were only through the referrals, especially when you are having a higher experience category where you're 10 plus, 15 plus. Getting an offer or getting the first round of interviews straight away from your LinkedIn or a Naukri applications is little difficult. So what matters in that case is if you have someone in a company who can refer to you, then that actually adds a value, because then you get that first breakthrough to get into the thing. So make sure that you keep networking, keep nurturing your network, stay connected with the relevant people. I mean, when network, don't connect with all the world. We don't need to do that, but stay connected with the relevant people. That helps getting into the role majority of the time.
Mr. Shreyas, we have one more question from Guna Sindhu. The question is, I'm a technical lead with 12 plus years of experience. My question is, post this IPL EMBA program, what kind of role can I apply for if I seek towards business related roles?
I think one thing is definitely a product management. There could be, again, product management is a field where, I would say, there are a lot of different aspects to it. Like there are roles like business analyst, there are roles like product owner, there are roles of a product manager. If you are a senior person and if you want to get into a director position, even that type of roles are available. So these are all the business facing roles I can think of, where you can apply.
Even the operations can also be, yeah.
Thing. And there are, if you have a technical experience, you can start with the technical product management. One thing which was suggested to us also by our professor is the easier transition is always to get a role within your same company that you're working, because then it becomes easy. You have the people who know you, and then they can trust on you, they can bank on you to get into a different role. But if that is not a choice, then probably you can take it in other organization also.
And you can also build your own company and you can build a new product.
Yeah.
So that is the ultimate glow. You can be the CPO and then you can be the founder of your own product. So there's no end to it. But if the goal is to build a product by solving the customer needs, because the main thing that we are trying to do is the need that we have with the users is getting fulfilled in the right way. Probably sometimes we might go wrong, but that fulfillment of the need by solving it in the right way, by using technology and then the human workforce in the efficient manner, all the roles you can actually, I would try to say that there is no end to it. It need not be just product. If you are a very good people manager and then into HR, and then you also know product, then you can actually think how in your next level, higher leadership roles, you can bring different verticals aligned. So I would say, based on the core skill sets that we have, build upon it and understand what everybody else is doing. So yeah, I just wanted to add on top of that without getting into the specific of the roles, because all of us have different hierarchies and then the roles. But definitely just make sure that it's not limited to what you can think. It's actually wide horizon out there.
And also, you're especially if you're enrolled to IPL, right? So the product labs will give you a better exposure in building these products, which also gives you avenue to seek out for validation of your ideas, products, if you're trying to build or if you're trying to collaborate with other networking partners or within your cohort, right? And that's where I think I've also had this opportunity to work with or collaborate with different product managers or the way they think. And of course, the opportunity also, you can, some of these connections, what you build within the products or outside the product labs could potentially be hiring for the product roles. And then you can very well transition to them, to those roles as well. So the way I see is that the way you network within this cohort, outside this cohort, and wherever opportunities you get, you also get the opportunities to go and apply. And of course, there will be someone or the other one who would refer you or wherever they are trying to hire for this position.
You have a follow-up question to that from Guna Sidhu, who asked this question. She's also trying to build her own mobile app for health and wellness. So she's wondering if this EMBA will also help her to get a small business out of it. Will she be able to explore that dimension?
Yeah, I think absolutely, because I believe in the last semester, we do have an option of going into the entrepreneurial track or getting into the general project, where you'll get
Industry challenge,
basically. So there's an option, and absolutely you can do that.
Yeah. And if you are a cohort of 40 plus people, you already have your 40 members in for your wellness app.
Yeah, just don't let them go. I mean, use this app, otherwise I'm not gonna let you in the class.
All right, we have one more question, a very quick one. If you can just take this, and then we have, I think we'll be having time for 2 more questions. We have one in the audience. Just give me a second before we get to the person in the audience, because I feel like this is a more basic question we need to address. Anu Francis asks, can you just touch upon the difference between a product manager and product owner?
Again, it is something I said, it's a varying across the companies, even industries, not industry, but across the companies. The overall conception that people have is a product owner is, again, if you ask me, ideally, product owner is a role which is there in agile model, and then someone can even clarify that further, where the more of a work or majorly you'll be interacting with the engineering team to get the things executed in the right way. However, agile doesn't mention that product owner cannot talk to the customer or should not talk to the customer. It is always important for a product owner to talk to the customer, get that value requirements captured in the right way, and then get that executed. Frankly, personally, I don't feel that there's a need to have 2 different roles of a product manager, product owner, and ultimately they do very similar things with a fine difference between them based on the company that you're working. So I think Priya,
It might also be the scoping of the things. Probably product manager also has certain budget allocated to run the product line that he is in charge of, and product owner might not have to worry about the budget. And also the alignment of your product to the company vision or the customer ask, one of them. So product manager has to align it and then say, if you are derailing, then hey, this is what is the strategy. I think you are thinking in a different way. And product owner is more close to the engineering and then all the other aspects related to building the product. Product manager is little more higher. He is that bridging gap between the entire the dependent teams and as well as the higher management in the product. So slight difference, I would say. Product manager is more into understanding at the higher level. Probably several other product owners or product managers like aligned with him, like group of product manager. I would not say report, but they're working collaboratively. So that slight difference is there where I would say with respect to accountability and responsibility, product manager has more, but the visibility, product owner has more visibility about how the product has been like built based on the strategy.
Thank you so much. I hope that answers your question. Let's move forward to one person in the audience who would like to ask a question, who's been waiting to ask. Tandava, if you can please unmute, as well as if you want to, switch on your video, that's absolutely okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Hi, you can call me Tandava. I'm a QA lead in a consulting company. We are actually building a product for developers and admin. You can assume this is a product like what we have, like instead of HTML, CSS, or Java, you can use a drag and drop app to build it. Though it is on a different platform, it's on a SaaS offering. We are building such a product. So actually, we started our development with a mindset of user know how to use, and we started building that product. But when we released the product, when our subscribing team started using, we started to realize that user requirements will be very varied, and it is very challenging to track them and pick the value add, because users are dependent on us because we are creating a product. As a QA lead and as a QA team, we are the first person who will be really testing the product and understanding. So my quick question is, what should be the key takeaway in converting the user feedback into a value add? Because whatever issues a QA member identified does not really convert to a value add. So that is the question. What should be the key takeaway in converting feedbacks and adding value add? That is the one question. The follow-up question to that is, what should we do as a QA, as a team, in the requirement gathering or user story building phase, when the user stories are too technical, so don't have an use case, because the use case will be endless. For example, you can build any application. The target is to do that. So we will have a more of a technical user story that this will do this, something like that. So how do you address these kind of challenges at the requirement gathering or user story development, or at the later point, like during the feedback?
Yeah, I would like to take this, Shreyas. So it's never about QA developing a product or a product manager developing a product. So that is not it's something which we should be worried about. It's about, can the product be validated by the user so that it can be used to solve the problem that we have. So the first thing is understanding what is the problem statement or the problem that the users have, like be it entirely technical solution or be it a normal solution that you are providing. So don't build the entire product like we were doing in waterfall model, then take it to customer, then they say no, and then come back, because you have already invested time, money, and effort into it. So I would say, again, we talk about agile and then we think, oh, it is just a framework and then the processes. Agile can be followed even without the framework implementation, where you, whatever you wanted to do without imparting too much of technicalities into it, can you get it validated from the user? Probably by just a click-through prototype, build it and then say, hey, you have a problem here. chart down the customer journey. What are the things that he's doing right now, which is making it really hard for him to use and complex for him to use the product? And how do you make it hassle free by providing your solution? That low fidelity validation or even click through prototype would be the first thing that you can go, and then then they will say, hey, this is not what I wanted to do. This is the thing that I want. Then you can actually reiterate and then say, hey, this is what it is. Even your Swiggy and all the things, they never came up with a product in the first go. Internally, they were having Excel sheets when they got a product. When they got an order, they were calling the restaurants in person and then getting the order and then delivering it. So validate it in the most like the cheapest way, and the problem should be solved in a way that it need not be restrained or constrained by the technology. What we do as engineers and then QA engineers is, because we know technology, we want to build an app. Because we know the technology and then end-to-end things of like how things have to be done, we go and then build an app. When we go to the customer, they don't need it. But we are trying to build on the technology strengths that we have. But is it aligned by the user to use it? If we have that thing in map, definitely anybody can use any product, and then your requirement gathering will also become really strong. I heard you saying the user story being very technical, but just one step above that technical, always define what is the background of building that user story. If you are building an API, just check if the API that you are building is doing exactly what you are trying to do, and then what is the larger cause at the business level that you are achieving. Then you would be in the right hands.
Thank you so much, Priyadashini, for that question. I think we are pretty much done with the questions. Oh, we have one more from Mr. Pavan. Panel, if you'd like to quickly take this, we have another 2 minutes. I'm currently into core technical field in non-IT field, automotive EV. How can this MBA help to career into the same vertical?
Yeah, so I think, see, again, product management is more about knowing why you're building what we are building. EV is a booming space. I ran a podcast and I got a chance to talk to a lot of EV entrepreneurs in last 6 months or so. And again, they're also the biggest challenge that they mentioned that, a lot of startups are coming up, but they are not sure about why should I build and for which audience, what should I build. The technology is first part of the challenge, but the second challenge that they face is, what to build, for whom to build, and why to build that. And executive MBA program at IPL can help you get the clarity on these aspects of it, that making sure that, ruthlessly prioritize all the things required and build only what is adding a value to the customers. So that is something which can help you. In terms of domain, again, domain knowledge helps majorly if you are working for a larger organization where they need that your EV knowledge and all will be valued. But having said that, that's not a mandatory thing. You always have. For me, what happened is I got options opened up when I did an executive MBA and when I decided to get into product management. I'm not limited by my domain knowledge to find a new role in my career going forward. However, people keep valuing that. If you are from a technical background, they value that and they want to make sure that, like, I always got an option to be managed products which are related to platforms, APIs, which are more technical stuff, which people generally hesitate to give it to some other people who don't have experience in that. So it is useful, but it's not mandatory to have that knowledge. And I think automotive EV is something which is coming up. It is booming and it will scale a lot. So there is definitely a scope, not just, I see that many organizations, many startups already started working on that. They want to scale up and then government is supporting that initiative. So yeah, it's a good field to be in. And this knowledge probably can help you even help that organizations make their business flourish for sure.
Thank you so much. I think we have to wrap up now, considering the time constraints. We'd also like to respect the time speakers who have joined us to share their journeys. Thank you so much for taking the time, Mr. Krishna, Mr. Shreyas, and Priyadarshini. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful to being on this side of the session and listening to your insights. I'm sure the audience has a lot to take away, a lot to come back to. There could be a lot of questions, I'm sure, which would go unanswered, but you can always save those questions for later and always connect with the speakers on LinkedIn. I've put in the speakers links. I'll put them again so that you can connect with them. Feel free to get in touch and ask any questions that you would have in terms of product, which would be unanswered in this session. Thanks again, Mr. Shreyas, Ms. Priyadarshini, and Mr. Krishna for being here. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
Have a
Have
nice
a
day.
great weekend.